Where's your mother?
I don't know, Looney.
Infringement. Back to the start.
Okay.
Take your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape!
The 2010s were like a social media goldmine, filled with strong pop culture moments that made us all want to hit the rewind button again and again. From intense performances to explosive fights, this decade had it all. And on that very note, here are the top 25 most iconic movie scenes from the 2010s decade. If we're kicking things off, it's gotta be with a scene that justifies why you've gotta go crazy to your favourite track. Kingsman: The Secret Service kicked off a franchise that we didn't quite know we needed, but nothing can ever top the iconic church scene, which has ironically become a symbol of violence for this decade in cinema. Harry Hart shows us the true meaning of berserk here, as he makes an already violent crowd look like a bunch of peaceful protesters compared to the kind of wrath he brings forth. Like, remove the spy context from this scene, and you've got yourself a proper Western-style shootout. I'm pretty sure Eggsy was shocked beyond belief upon seeing what Harry was capable of, and it makes us wonder exactly how such a skilled assassin's able to operate with such class and precision otherwise. Anyway, as far as this particular scene's concerned, bro's skills are pushed to the max, and I suppose this is all because of Freebird. It's amazing what one song can bring out of you, eh? In at number 24, we have the most beautiful storm you'll ever see. A lot of people were worried about how a new Mad Max film would translate to the big screen, especially when studios have this very odd habit of ruining legacy franchises with modern sludge. That wasn't the case with Mad Max Fury Road though, as we got a great film with great characters and freaking amazing visual effects. The only evidence I need to show you for that statement is the sandstorm scene. It was a work of modern art, and it captivates you right from the moment the sandstorm shows itself. Yeah, this must have definitely taken some work to perfect, but all that effort totally paid off. There's so much more chaos going around, but with the apocalyptic setting and adrenaline-fueled atmosphere, the audience totally loved the scene. I think what really helped the film was the fact that George Miller directed it. He's the same man who did the previous Mad Max movies, so if anyone understood this universe, it was definitely him. What's life if it's not rotating in chaos? Christopher Nolan sure seems to get that vibe, because the rotating hallway sequence from Inception isn't just a highlight from the movie, but also for the whole decade. I'm a huge Nolan fan, but even if you're not a fan of his work, you can't deny the fact that he puts in a ton of work to make sure his films match his artistic vision. This sequence was filmed primarily with practical effects and minimal CGI, which is what makes it look so special. The tension of the scene is pretty high already, and when we've got the added scenario that all of this is a dream within a dream, where Yusuf is trying to channel his inner Michael Schumacher. Anyway, the real star of the show is Arthur, who puts on quite a show. I mean, that kind of balance and agility is hard to master under normal circumstances, but bro was doing it with a freaking hallway spinning around him like a Beyblade.
Well, reason for the call today, John, is something just came across my desk, John. It is perhaps the best thing I've seen in the last 6 months. If you have 60 seconds, I'd like to share the idea with you. You got a minute?
There are many scenes from The Wolf of Wall Street that are memorable, but I personally feel that the most impactful moment was the sale that led to an unbelievable life. Jordan Belfort's life story was clearly interesting enough for Martin Scorsese to make a movie around it, but man, this one scene is overwhelmingly special.
John, one thing I can promise you, even in this market, is that I never ask my clients to judge me on my winners. I asked them to judge me on my losers because I have so few.
It's a simple penny stock, but Leonardo DiCaprio puts his heart and soul into making this sale happen, and it kicks off a series of events that leads to a highly polarizing lifestyle. Funnily enough, I can totally imagine people trying to sell Bitcoin like this back when it used to be worth nothing. You know what else is special about this scene? The guy in the mustache who explains the whole concept of selling penny stocks to Jordan is actually Spike Jonze. Yeah, he's the dude who directed the movie Her. Want to know another interesting fact? The guy who voices Jordan's first ever customer, John, is none other than Martin Scorsese himself.
4,000, that'd be 40,000 shares, John. Let me lock in that trade right now and get back to you with my secretary with an exact confirmation. Sound good, John? Great. Hey, John, thank you for your vote of confidence, and welcome to the Investors Center.
At number 21, we have Logan letting out the rage one last time. So, just to be clear, this list isn't based on any particular metric, but rather the scenes that I found out to be the most iconic from the decade. That means you'll see some classics and you'll see some comic book movies, which I'm sure may rub film bros the wrong way. As it so happens, the Logan Berserker scene is actually ahead of a Scorsese movie, although I'm sure he would have also found merit in this movie if he viewed it as a standalone. The scene itself is pretty crazy as the Wolverine finally gets back to his good old days in terms of raw power. Doesn't last that long though. But when you play with the principles of scarcity in a movie, the payout can be immense if you execute it correctly. We were so used to seeing Logan struggle throughout the film that when he did dominate this scene, it felt a whole lot better than it normally would have. Hugh Jackman was on a roll too. Just look at the BTS video where he's voicing Wolverine here.
I insist.
If you insist.
Coming right after a savage massacre is, you guessed it, yet another one. But this time, it's Trouble in Candyland. Quentin Tarantino has delivered a classic in every era apart from the 2020s. That's only because he hasn't released a movie yet. He still has some time till 2029 for that, so for now, I want to focus on the epic shootout sequence that saw the end of Leonardo DiCaprio's supreme cameo as Calvin Candy. I still can't get over that look on his face when he realized he got shot. It was so unexpected. Despite the tense build-up that was culminating inside Schultz's mind, it starts off and ends on a chaotic note with a whole bunch of mindless firing in between. This is actually a standard Tarantino formula, and it happens to work every single time.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Following up a couple of massacres is an instance that proves top-tier camera work gets it done. La La Land was a very enjoyable movie with some great performances such as those from Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. However, for the jazz dance scene, even though the actors totally kill it, I want to shout out the director of photography Linus Sandgren and his team for doing a splendid job of recording both sequences at the same time. Yeah. I initially thought that Mia and Sebastian were being filmed separately, but that wasn't the case at all, which makes this even more enjoyable to watch. I know there was this whole controversy where La La Land was incorrectly announced as the best picture at the Oscars, only for it to be given to Moonlight after the entire cast and crew made it to the podium. However, if I'm being honest, this is the film I come back to more often than Moonlight. No hate to anyone though. You know you're dealing with a master when the cameo guy beats up the hero and the villain even before the halfway point in the movie. Tom Cruise is a stunt expert and Henry Cavill used to be freaking Superman, so to see the both of them get beaten down by a random decoy was definitely unexpected. Shout out to Liang Yang for showing us his impressive moves as a stuntman. He was a force to be reckoned with. Yes, August Walker's little fist shimmy also caught everyone's attention, but bro lost all the aura he gained after showing off his stance. You wanna know who the real MVP is though? It's that bathroom, which is very clean for a party full of alcoholics and drunkards. At number 17, we're giving you an iconic kitchen fight that fulfills everyone's appetite for action. Rama versus the assassin was a spectacle to behold, and even though our hero won the fight, we've got nothing but respect for Sisep Arif Rahman, who made Rama sweat as much as he could for the win. You know, it's a shame that I couldn't include other foreign films in this list, but I only had 25 entries to work with. Even so, this fight was good enough to get past other Hollywood stalwarts, and rightly so. It was bloody, brutal, and most importantly, captivating AF for the entirety of its 7 minutes.
Oh, you're trying to remember your training now? What's the regulation to cover this?
Ah yes, now we're meeting a classic villain, Silver. We as the audience don't really know what to expect from this character, but if an antagonist is introducing himself with a story based on rats cannibalizing each other, you know you've got someone worthy of James Bond's time.
You see, we are the last two rats. We can either eat each other, or eat everyone else.
Javier Bardem was already on a roll after his performance as Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men, and he channeled similar energy for this role too. Either way, I'm sure his goons were like, oh man, why do we have to end up working for this freak? But yeah, this scene is shot wonderfully thanks to Sam Mendes' direction. It builds tension and then a sort of odd camaraderie between 007 and Silver.
Destabilize a multinational by manipulating stocks, but easy. Interrupt transmissions from a spy satellite over Kabul. Done. Rig an election in Uganda, all to the highest bidder.
You ugly mess.
Ah yes, here's the ultimate Robo-flex, coming from the ultimate Robo-leader. The 2010s decade wouldn't be complete without the Transformers, a franchise that shaped up a lot of the big-budget action from the era. The Last Knight may not have been the best film of the brand, but it did give us the best aura-farming moments from Optimus Prime. His arrival to any battlefield is always met with cheers, and in this case, he owns Infernicus as he's dealing with a minion.
Did you forget who I am?
Bro managed to defeat his opponent in his giant robot form as well as multiple robots form. That sword swing was epic AF, and it goes to show how badass the leader of the Autobots really is. Of course, hearing the line, "Did you forget who I am?" right before the swing was a crazy build up too. Oh yeah, and let's not forget the part where Bro called his enemy an ugly mess. Like, chill out Optimus, haven't you violated him enough already?
I am Optimus Prime. Autobots, attack!
I asked it, "Who are you?" And it said it was a visitor.
I know that Sinister is usually the film that gets credited with this honor, but in my opinion, Insidious has the craziest jump scare of the decade. Horror movies deserve to have their moment on this list, so I'm not going to deny them any credit. That freaking red demon was a menace, and he pretty much cemented himself in our memories with this scene. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, was expecting him to pop out like that behind Josh. It was so creepy that I didn't even realize the bugger looked like some long-lost cousin of Darth Maul. You know why I prefer this to the lawnmower scene from Sinister? It's because while that moment was totally unexpected, this sequence did give us a subtle hint that something was coming. We just didn't know what, so to shock us like that even without a 100% element of surprise was pretty impressive.
I can still hear that voice.
What? It's here! Take your stinking paw off me, you damn dirty ape!
Come on, even the apes know that no means no. So why the heck doesn't Tom Felton? I guess he was still feeling that Draco Malfoy energy, even though he was playing Dodge in this scene with Caesar. But yeah, I've got no sympathy for that dude because he was pretty much asking for it. This may have been just one word, but that no meant everything. Caesar finally had enough of being treated like a pet and enough of being abused, so he finally took control of his life and marked the symbolic rise of the Planet of the Apes, thus doing justice to the film's title. It's the perfect example of less is more, because the emotion emotions of thousands of apes are being conveyed with just this one word. Everyone was rendered speechless during this scene, including the audience, because they needed to grasp what had just happened. It's such an iconic moment, and it still gives me chills even to this date.
He took my childhood and destroyed.
At number 12, I'm giving you a scene that won an Oscar for Anne Hathaway. Yeah, she did have other scenes in Les Miserables, but considering that she only has about 15 minutes of screen time, this sequence of almost 5 minutes was definitely a massive contributor to her Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. This isn't a flawless or practiced presentation of art. This is a crushed face of hopelessness from a battered human being. That is the true art of her character, Fantine. The raw singing coupled with her acting performance served as a perfect combination in this extremely powerful scene.
And still I dream he'll come to me.
Man, I can't believe that Tom Hooper did such a great job with this scene and the movie in general, only to go on to direct 2019's Cats. Yeah, talk about going from 100 to 0 real quick. Okay, there's 7 years and the Danish Girl in between these two movies, so maybe not real quick.
Different from this hell I'm living. So different, no, from what it seems.
Potatoes. Where's yours?
It wouldn't be a true TV Regent video if I didn't mention the killing spree in which the world is introduced to a legendary assassin. John Wick completely reinvented the action genre with an excessive, over-the-top style of violence, which worked quite well for the audience. Keanu Reeves as a killer who even the Russians fear may not have seemed like an instant hit at first, but thanks to a last-minute investment from Eva Longoria, the world got its Baba Yaga. And also the Red Circle club scene, which highlights how skilled he is, despite having been retired for a while. This sequence provides a phenomenal display of a tactical strike which is executed by just one man. The studio knew they had a franchise in the making after witnessing the immense success of the first film, and to me, the Red Circle scene is an overall symbol of the movie. Alright, the top 10's kicking off with unlimited aura from one appearance. Thor's Wakanda entrance has usually found itself at the top of many of my lists, but since I'm taking a lot of things into consideration for this particular video, I suppose that number 10's a fair spot for it. The main reason it's this high is because of the impact it had on audience members all over the world. Avengers Infinity War had a lot of cool moments, but this one was what really made everyone's adrenaline go crazy.
Bring me Thanos!
The God of Thunder had gotten violated right in the beginning of the movie, so this was his way of getting redemption for it. He dominates the head and tail of this sequence, and it completely changes the whole tone of the battle. Bro was a one-man army here, and it's probably the closest the MCU's ever going to get to a one-punch man or a solo leveling in terms of power proportions. Number 9 is an epic sprint that goes on and on. Sam Mendes is an interesting director because his roster includes American Beauty, 2 James Bond films including Skyfall, which I covered earlier, and of course 1917, which totally outperformed expectations. Now, the most iconic scene from this film is of course the battlefield sprint, where Will makes a run for it just to get to Colonel Mackenzie and call off the attack. The greatest aspect of this sequence is that you spend it with the protagonist and see his suffering, only to have it marginalized by Colonel Mackenzie at the end, who's completely indifferent to what Will has been through.
This attack is not to go ahead! You have been ordered to stop! You have to stop!
Who the hell are you?
Lance Corporal Schofield, sir. 8th. I have orders from General Erenmore to call off this attack.
It's a position that everyone in this universe can relate to, and probably also what makes this movie so memorable. You want to know what else is interesting? The idea for the script came from the story of Mendes's grandfather, Alfred Mendes, who was a native of Trinidad and a messenger for the British on the Western Front. Ah yes, you can love or hate Marvel films, but you can't deny the fact that this was the team-up of the decade. It's the greatest achievement ever made in the history of the MCU, and it's also kind of crazy that they even managed to outdo Infinity War in terms of larger-than-life scenes. There's relief, joy, and hype all meshed into one emotion, right from Falcon telling Captain America to look to his left to the actual Avengers Assemble line.
On your left.
Everyone is together here, and it makes for a magnificent finale, not just to the movie, but also the Infinity Saga as a whole. Honestly, it was all about keeping the faith here. Steve Rogers wasn't willing to quit, despite the odds, but his perseverance finally paid off when we got all the Avengers back together, save for Black Widow and Vision, both of whom got done dirty. Anyway, the battle that follows goes on for quite a while, so I won't talk about it, because I've already mentioned it countless times in my other videos.
Make me use this? You're gonna tell us? You know I'm gonna use this.
He may be known for playing Wolverine, but it's in 2013's Prisoners that we get to witness Hugh Jackman's ultimate performance. A lot of critics had said that they got to see a truly vulnerable side to Jackman's acting range because he was primarily known for being this badass mutant who oozed Giga Chad vibes. Well, here, he's a father who's growing in desperation over finding his missing daughter.
I know you know. Why aren't you f***ing telling me? Why?
Keller's scene with Alex and the hammer was phenomenal acting and great direction as we see what lengths a father is willing to go to in order to protect his child. Even Franklin was like, geez bro, take it easy. It's unfortunate too because Holly was the main culprit, but man, you really feel for Keller here because even though his actions may not be the best way to go about things, you are left wondering, what else can he do anyway? Honestly, this was an Oscar level performance and I'm so glad that Hugh Jackman was able to step out of Wolverine's shadow for once and get his due credit.
Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?
Where's your aunt now?
I don't know.
Would you like to have intercourse with her again?
No.
Do you regret this?
No.
Where's your mother?
I don't know, Looney.
Infringement. Back to the start.
Okay.
2012's The Master may not have been a box office success, but that doesn't take anything away from the fact that it's easily amongst Paul Thomas Anderson's best movies, if not his best movie of all time. The movie is carried by the performances of its main stars, Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman. The processing scene serves as the perfect example of that, as we see Lancaster breaking down Freddy to his most fragile state.
Starting now, you're not to blink. If you blink, we go back to the start. Infringement. You blinked.
The entire scene is a masterclass in acting because all we see are the characters and their expressions, yet we're completely enraged for almost 7 whole minutes. Man, the part where Freddy starts talking about Doris was when I really started to get emotional. This is why I tell people that Joaquin Phoenix's best performance isn't Joker. I got only love for that performance, but come on, Freddie Quell was just on a completely different level.
Do you love Doris?
Yes.
Is she the love of your life?
Yes, sir.
Why aren't you with her?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Tell me why you're not with her if you love her so much.
I told her I'd come back and I never went back, and now I gotta get back.
10 feet out. Cooper, we are lined up. Initiating spin.
At number 5, Christopher Nolan gives us a stunning display of visual effects. 2014's Interstellar was his version of 2001 A Space Odyssey, with a little bit of Blade Runner and Mirror sprinkled in. Now, while I do prefer these films to Interstellar, I'll state that Nolan completely outdid himself in the docking scene. The build-up, the tone, the tension, the timing, they all come together like we're going over the hill of a crazy roller coaster, and oh boy, what a ride it was.
Come on, Tars.
You know, I still get caught off guard when man gets pulled from the Endurance and there's no big audio blast. Nolan was clearly a man of accuracy and he nailed the absence of audio, of course with Zimmer's score. This is the moment humanity either dies or lives to fight another day, so there's no shortage of stakes either. It's moments like this where I can proudly say that Christopher Nolan is the Stanley Kubrick of this generation, you know, minus all the excessive takes.
We are locked. Locked. Easing up.
I'm guessing most of you folks have heard of
Jesus freaking Christ. This is one of the most intense performances you'll ever see, both from the character's perspective and the actors too. Whiplash is a great film which has aged considerably well, although it's only been 11 years since it came out. Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons gave us literally every single ounce of intensity in their hearts and souls during the legendary final performance where Andrew and Terrence have their little face-off and then work together to give us that brilliant finale. Like, the scene was so overwhelming, even the drum kit started sweating. I mean, I'm not a musician, so I can't speak to the technicalities of the scene, but I can sure as heck commend the effort that went into that performance. You know, J.K. Simmons was already an established actor at the time, but I really thought that Miles Teller would go on a generational run after his performance. Luckily, he got Top Gun Maverick to keep his career afloat, so I'm excited to see what else he has to offer.
Where's Ethan?
Do whatever you want, but you can't escape Tom Cruise and his stunts. That's the real Mission Impossible if you ask me. Hollywood's last superstar has already made an appearance today, but that involved him getting his and Henry Cavill's butts handed to them. Here though, Ethan Hunt is doing what he does best. Life-threatening stunts that would make anyone faint even at the thought of doing them. It involves the Burj Khalifa, and when it came out, everyone lost their minds. The rest of the movie could have been absolute garbage, and this scene still would have redeemed it. Luckily, Ghost Protocol was an enjoyable watch, and this stunt had everyone gasping for breath even from the comfort of their theatre seats. And then of course, you have that image of Mr. Cruise just chilling at the top without any concern in the world for some top-notch PR. The overall stunt was super cool, but they just had to spook us out with that final gag too, where Ethan actually messes up his calculations and almost falls off the tallest building in the world.
You can't move.
Why can't I move?
You're paralyzed. Just like that day when you did nothing. You did nothing.
One of the worst possible feelings you can have as a human being is sinking into the unknown, not being able to do anything about it. Normally, this would be a feeling that you wouldn't be able to put into words. However, Jordan Peele managed to put it on the big screen, and he nailed it. The sunken place scene is so haunting and impactful because it starts off on an innocuous tone, but slowly and gradually becomes very uncomfortable to watch.
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
This is actually a genius choice because we as the audience are somewhat like Chris and the director is like Missy. We too are unsure of what's going on at first, but then boom, we're too flustered, just like Chris. Of course, we haven't lost our sense of consciousness, but you get what I mean, don't you? It's scenes like this that solidify Get Out as a proper horror film. Yeah, I really don't know why it was even a point of contention when it first came out.
Now you're in the sunken place.
If I had to crown any entry number one, it had to be the scene that marked the end of a Dream franchise run. Yeah, I know that there are movies that earn more than the Deathly Hallows films, but numbers don't matter here. Emotions do. The Harry Potter film series had been a very important part of my childhood, along with countless others. I still feel such a strong sense of nostalgia when I think back to it, and the final battle between Harry and Voldemort is one of the reasons for it. It's an epic battle for sure, but more importantly, this is the culmination of all of the movies that came before it. We'd been supporting Daniel Radcliffe and co ever since The Sorcerer's Stone, so our cheers were also the loudest when the boy who lived was able to fight and defeat he who must not be named. Yeah, I know there's a series coming up too, but there's no way that anyone can convince me that it's going to be even half as good as the OG experience. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.